Welcome to the Trans Coffee Table Kiki. You have your hosts, Porsha and Duchess.
How y'all doing this evening?
So what is the premise of the Trans Coffee Table Kiki?
I like to think it's a great place for trans girls and even trans attracted, the men who are trans attracted, to come and find out what trans girls talk to, or what they talk about, who they talk to, even like funny topics, serious topics, some of the simplest girl, where you get your makeup from. So I think it's a hot topic platform for the day.
Yeah. So topic number one, trans people are discriminated against, ostracized, and often thrown out of their homes at early ages. My question is, have you told your family about your transition as it was happening? And what was their responses, if any?
That's a really good question. Obviously, it's different for everybody. I was very fortunate. I come from a Christian background. My mom's heavily Christian. And my dad, not so much, but still Christian. And growing up as a kid, my father was always there around. So my parents are still together. But my dad was very much like, as long as you get good grades in school, I don't care what you do. Don't get the police knocking on the door and get good grades, and you do not be bothered with them.
Okay.
Now that being said, from birth, I was always told that I was a pretty girl. So my parents definitely knew that I was different, and I was definitely more coddled as a kid because they knew I was different. So I always felt that I never had to tell them about what I was attracted to or what I would become because it's pretty obvious. They would probably thought, oh, your son is gay. When I started wearing makeup, it started off with just like eyeshadow, mascara, and wearing dresses. And that started when I was in New York. So the first time I went back to Chicago, I went with a full-on dress. My nails were always long. Like, let's put you in a fourth grade with long nails. And my hair was always long. But as far as the dresses and makeup, that came later. Okay. So I showed to her doorstep with a white man, no doubt. And I don't think it's gonna be a whole like scandal, like dynasty, like some slap it or something. I know better than eyelash. It was like, okay.
Really? Okay.
And I was kind of surprised. I definitely learned later on when I finally came out to my parents and told them, because I literally didn't want to use my dad's name anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is my name, my name is Duchess, and I'm a trans girl now. So at that point I had to tell them. And that was actually received pretty positive. So I was really surprised, but that's not to say there weren't any obstacles coming up. Right before I moved to New York, I remember sitting down with my dad once and he was like, what you choose to do out there is your business, but don't bring that stuff back here. And I always been up about that. It's my life. I don't give a crap what you think. I'm gonna live it. Because at the end of the day, I have to be happy with myself. I have to be happy with that reflection that I am reflecting in the mirror. So I was like, I'm gonna live my life. And as far as my mother, we were exactly the same. We've been bumping heads since forever. But wow. She's always hated the fact that people always go, she's such a pretty girl. Mom's like, no, he's handsome. I'm like, no, you're not right. Pretty. So I was very
she got your pronouns correct now.
She's really making an effort. At first, she didn't understand it. And shout out to my sister Dominique. She had my back. She had a discussion with mom, and mom has been really making a genuine attempt to say my feet off the hook, right? And so you guys listen out there, if you don't know what to call a person, whether you're a trans girl, a trans man, or just a queer person, you just call them by their name, or don't use any pronouns at all, or just simply ask them. But a general rule, in my opinion, is if you see girls as beautiful as us and dressed up like us, do not serve them. No matter how deep their voices are, or how some may not be as quite as fast as other girls, but when you take the time to do all of this, I definitely think it's usually safe to say she. Or again, just address them by their name. Or don't use any pronoun at all.
Exactly.
And if you do mess up, just correct yourself, keep it moving. You know, I think 9 times out of 10, most trans girls or trans men, they just want to know that you're trying genuinely. There's an effort behind it. And that's all you can ask for, because no one's human. Your parents have been used to calling you, you know, your name for forever. So it's not going to happen overnight. This is really interesting, because I haven't really got the chance to hear Porsha's story, so I want to hear this.
So I started transitioning in December of 2021. And basically, I never wanted to transition. I was thinking I was a gay guy who dressed up in men's clothing, women's clothing. And it wasn't until December 2021 when I realized that I really want to live the life of a trans woman.
Wow.
So my family doesn't know. But
hopefully they're not watching this video.
Hopefully they're not watching.
Surprise!
Because that would be a surprise.
If you're having issues with this video, call 1-800-GET-OVER-IT. The number and link is below.
So I never told them that, you know, of course, obviously, that I was a trans girl. You know, for the most part, I've been living my life as a trans girl. But that transition has been a little hard. You know, sometimes I'll go dressed as in guys' clothing, but I need to get more comfortable at it. You know, it's all a learning curve. You know,
it really is.
You know, so for anyone who is like a little issues about that, I have the same issues, you know, now, but I know that I will live my life as a trans girl if I have all the clothing, you know, then I will make that transition. Right?
And listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, I think some girls can get discouraged because they may see other girls in different stages in their transition and go like, oh, I wish I could like that, or I'll never look like that. Like, a few years ago, I didn't even look like this. I mean, I started wearing girls' clothing maybe in like 2015. And I was already doing makeup and like long hair, but I started late. And back then, I just called myself a gay boy. It wasn't until I got around more trans girls and I had more of a trans community while I found out what was available to me as far as hormones or what pronouns I wanted to use. And then around the time I was working in retail, and we had to do the name exchange. So customers would be like, oh, what's your name? And I was like, oh, it's so-and-so. And they're like, really? And up until that point, my name felt fine, but eventually that was disconnect with my name.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go by that. So for the longest, I'll consider myself trans femme. But like I was saying earlier, I found that trans community. And it made me feel like, okay, like I do like the trans pronoun, and also hormones are something I wanted to do. For the longest time, just far go for the long rant of hormones, I thought they just made you gain weight, but that's not the case. They really complimented my feminine transition, and I'm actually really happy on my hormone journey. 1 year, me and Porsha, we got to start at the same time. I think I might have encouraged you.
I think for me, it was basically just realizing who I am, and that's what made me decide to do it.
And just do what's best for you. Huh?
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, what made you more comfortable with starting to dress in public? How did that process go?
Well, there was times when I first started, I would not go out of the house dressed as a female. There was certain times I would not do that, and then as I got comfortable with going out of the house dressed as a female, I was like, first of all, I thought first of all, I'm not passable at all.
No, don't say that.
You know, I'm like, someone's gonna spoof me. The first time I went out as a trans woman, people at the train were laughing and stuff like that, you know. I had to get a little bit better with doing makeup, and I'm still learning, you know. But, you know, now I'm like, now I would say I'm a little better doing it, you know. But it takes time, and it takes a journey to get there.
And I remember, because you guys may not know, but when I met Porsha, she went by a different name. And I remember I would always see her dressed up as a boy, and then she would transform into a girl. And I'm always impressed when girls can do that, because I could never do that. I could never, like, me as a boy, I always look like a girl. I was like, whoa, there we go. But I know at the beginning of our friendship, we started to hang out more and more. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that also could have helped a little bit in making you feel more comfortable, because you're around another trans girl, and it kind of inspired you to, like, okay, you know, she's dressed up and beautiful, like, I want to do the same. So we would be dressed up together out in public, and it kind of made it easier.
Yeah, because you encouraged me to that it was okay to dress up. And so I started doing that, you know, on the weekends and stuff, you know.
And I think our co-host Scooter over here wants our attention. Either that or he wants a treat. Scoots, say hello to YouTube world. My little rabbit, he's a little miscreant, this one. And he wants
He's cute.
He's cuter than that Antonio Easterling's pooch. A chew, if you're watching this, you're not as famous as Scooter right now. Oh gosh.
You encouraged me to dress up more.
Yes. And yeah, I'm really happy that, like, you know, that helped you kind of like break out of your shell. And I think that's even more of a reason why, like, trans girls, if you find other trans girls who, you know, bring joy and happiness in your life, and they're kind of like a good role model or a good confidant or just a good friend, you guys can, like, play off of each other, each other's positivity, and encourage others, and encourage each other in certain ways.
Exactly. So what do you think about trans girls who become sex workers?
Oh wow, she's hitting me with all the tough questions. Okay, well, my take on it is this. I don't think that, you know, we're all human, and no one should really be judging other people unless it's just like something criminal that you're doing, like, you know, robbing little old ladies or something. But as far as like sex work, we all have a right to live. We all have a right to make a living. And you know, for certain trans girls, I know I can't speak for myself, I've been very fortunate to actually find work. And my parents didn't kick me out, you know, at an early age. So I did not get addicted to certain substances. So I've had a very, like, you know, blessed life. Whereas, you know, the next young lady, she might have gotten kicked out at 14 and was living on the streets. You know, you can't quite get a legal job. And if you do find a job, you know, they're like, oh, you're trans. Like, people discriminate against you just because you're trans. So sometimes the sex work is the only option. So I say to the people who judge sex workers, like, what's the point? If you don't want to partake and pay them, or be generous to them, should we say, then don't. Say, no thank you, keep moving. And if you do, there's something wrong with that. You're helping a girl to eat. You're helping a girl maybe get an operation. We don't know her life story. So I am okay with it as long as everyone, there's 2 consenting adults or more. It's your business.
Okay.
What do you think, Porsha? What's your take on it?
I agree with you on the same point. that, you know, people should do whatever makes them feel happy, you know. If you would like to do sex work, then do it. I can get where the girls charge guys because they may not have any other option to do it. Overall, I don't think there's anything wrong about doing sex work.
Yeah. And if you live in Las Vegas, it's completely legal. So move to Las Vegas.
Now let's move to the hot seat.
Who's in the hot seat? Scoots? Put him in the hot seat. Get in the hot seat. Not me. There are no skeletons in my closet.
Okay. So conservative states are blocking trans medical care. Families are fleeing from Texas to Florida. Families with kids who once medically transitioning say state policies limiting people affirming care are focusing them to flee.
What are your thoughts on that, Ford?
I'm definitely a progressive, you know, as far as it comes to politics. I hate what these conservative states are doing to trans people. And Texas is not a good state for any trans person to live in. It's definitely not. And Florida is not much better. Florida is not much better, but
I like the fact that you brought that up. I think, you know, obviously if you live in those certain areas, like Texas, and that's your home, if in your home, you don't necessarily leave your home. I get that. Some people are like that. Me, I'm a Chicago gal. I wanted to leave. I was like, it's too damn cold. But I was very blessed where Chicago, you have access to, you know, health care. You have access to your hormones. And in New York, it's the same thing. But I was actually talking to a trans girl that I met at our mutual friend Nikki's place, and it was around Thanksgiving, and she had just moved to New York like 8 months ago. And I think she had left Indiana, and I think her parents had kind of kicked her out because she had just came out as trans. And she was telling me that Indiana, it's illegal to get prescription hormones there. So she had to go all the way to Chicago to get her hormones. So, right, like that really shocked. I mean, it shocked me that it was like that, and it shocked me that it was Indiana. It's Indiana.
Well, all these conservative states are getting like that. I mean, Texas and Florida aren't. I don't encourage people to live there, but if they live there,
yeah, you make the life.
Yeah, you have to make the best of it that you can.
That was just true. What's next? So am I still on the hot seat?
No.
Okay.
What do you think? This is a different topic altogether.
Oh wow, something
okay.
different.
This
is the wild card.
This is not a trans topic, but let's go with it.
Okay.
What do you think of men who are addicted to porn?
That's interesting. Okay. Again, consenting adults. Whatever you do is whatever you do. You know, just don't go neglect your children because you're addicted to porn. I mean, I think we all have our vices. We all have our guilty pleasures. I see no problem with a guy addicted to porn, but I think you do need to not neglect certain responsibilities. If you have responsibilities to children, then definitely take care of your kids. Or, I mean, I would hope you would get to work so you can pay for the electric bill so you get to watch the porn.
But what happened if you were dating a boyfriend who was addicted to porn?
He's like one of those guys like needed to be intimate with you.
He was taking some of the sex time away from you.
Well,
because he was so addicted to porn.
I don't need that much time. So in that case, that adult platform can be doing us a service. Because I don't know if a lot of you guys, any trans attracted men out there, first of all, she's available and she's looking. second of all, I don't think you guys realize that when girls get on hormones, they kind of like tank your sex drive.
Yes,
so,
it does.
A lot.
A lot.
So, if a guy was like addicted to porn and he was like sure, he was like, you know, taking care of himself against the porn, and he didn't, you know, touch me as much, I'm like, okay. As long as you make some cuddling time, you take me out, we're still having our like, you know, romantic time, that's fine by me. I don't need it that much as I'm alone. So I say I'm here for it. What about you?
Well, let me use this analogy of...
And by analogy, she means herself.
Yeah, of myself and this guy.
I just play.
This guy who I'll call H.
H, okay.
Okay.
Is it Prince Harry? Because, bitch, you know I have a crush on that ginger. He is mine. And if you watch the new Meghan Markle documentary on Netflix, she calls him H. She is a home. It's homework.
So let's call him H.
Okay.
And he's this black guy who I met.
So it's not Prince Harry.
Yeah, so he's not Prince Harry. But he's this black guy who I met. And we met at Nikki's party. Fooled around a little bit and stuff like that. And then he wanted to get my number and then meet up with me in private. And I said, okay. When we got together, he was looking at porn the whole time. As I'm surfacing him, he was like looking at porn. And I'm like, why are you looking at porn? I mean, I'm not good enough? He's like, no, I just like porn. But he would, and then it took him a long time too.
So, okay.
But, so I'm going for 3 hours.
Oh no. And this is where some girls would have to ask the guys to be generous. At this point, you need retribution for pain and suffering. Okay?
And then we got up
3 hours? But no.
We got up the next morning.
And did he take you to breakfast?
No.
Can a girl
but
get a waffle?
No, he did order me some food. He did order me some
Was it a Big Mac? Was it an egg with butter? With a soda on the side?
He ordered me some food.
Okay.
And then I continued on doing that, but he still could not come.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh, God. I didn't feel good because I didn't feel like I satisfied him, you know. But he was addicted to porn at the same time.
I think for some guys, they need the porn to help them get in that headspace. And there's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't necessarily be I wouldn't be, okay, yes, you want to satisfy your partner, but at the same time, like, you want to achieve some sort of satisfaction too. Like, is he even satisfying you? Like, what is he doing to make you happy other than buying breakfast? But,
yeah.
You know, I feel like, you know, if you can't necessarily satisfy the partner, you know, if you guys have a good experience, just like via talking or cuddling, like there's other ways to be intimate and just be like nice and kind to one another. You can start really good time that way. But I still say there's nothing wrong with porn. I don't think you should look at it as like, oh, it's a problem with myself. I think it's just like this is a tool that God is using to get in the headspace. That's how I see it.
When someone's addicted to porn,
a reflection on you. It's what he's doing to get in that headspace. To then, like, you know, arouse the headspace.
Okay.
But I will say, girls, if it's been 3 hours and you're ready to stop, do not be afraid to go, okay, you can stop. You can stop. I remember when I first was young, and I consider myself a young dating back in those days. And I would like think I had to do everything to satisfy the guys. Like I felt guilty saying no. And now I'm like, no, okay, stop. Like now I'll say, well, when I was younger, I did feel that way. Like I had to please, I had to do what they wanted. And you know, it's only with time you realize like, no, like I should get something out of this too. And I don't need, some people may want it for 3 hours, and if you do, that's fine. But me, I don't need to set phone.
Exactly.
I want to set my hair out. It's too much work. To each his own.
That was too much for me, you know. He hasn't called me since the second time we had sex. So the second time we were intimate. But, you know, that's how guys are.
I mean, but honestly, did you want this guy to call you back?
Basically, no.
I mean, is he taking you out to dates?
No. Basically, not. I think if someone is addicted to sex, that's an issue that they have to deal with. I would say if you're going to be in a relationship with someone who's addicted to sex, that would be very hard.
Well, it depends on the person. Your partner is addicted to it, but maybe you are just as addicted to it. Like maybe you enjoy it too. But I can see what you're saying. If it's like two yin and yangs, or one person like, I don't need that much, and others like, I need it all the time. Then that could be difficult, and I think it's a conversation we had in the beginning of the relationship.
But say you were in a relationship with someone who was addicted to sex.
Okay.
Every time they were watching this porn and stuff like that, and you were trying to get intimate with them, and they were still watching porn.
I would definitely, I'm all about communications. First of all, relationships are a lot of work. We don't realize that. It's a lot of communication.
Yes,
you have to communicate every day, even with a small thing, communicate. So if I'm feeling a certain way, my partner is making me feel a certain way, and if I'm not communicating that to my partner, then hey, that's the first problem right there. But if you are communicating to your or if you are communicating to your partner in like a clear, healthy way, and there's nothing wrong with taking notes, have a little spiel, put on your phone. Listen, I am guilty. If I have to say something to my guy friend, I'll make up my little notes to my phone. I think that needs to be had. So what I would say is something like, you know, I know that you enjoy, you know, watching your adult entertainment, and I don't want to take that away from you, but I would like some time carved out when we're intimate to pay me some attention, and let it be like a mutual, because our alone time, our intimate time should be mutually satisfying. So pay me a little time, and I'll let you get back to your, you know, adult entertainment, and we can play off of each other's energy. But I don't think it has to be just a one-sided thing. And I also like, maybe he puts on something that you both enjoy, and it could be like a thing that could be fun for both of you guys.
I don't enjoy it.
So, oh, come on, we all watch adult entertainment.
I mean, I do watch adult entertainment, but I don't need to watch it anymore because the hormones make me practically sexless.
I think this discussion is going to be one of those things that like we have to. Everyone has their own opinion, but me, I think it's fine. As long as you communicate with your partner and you remind your partner like, hey, I'm in the picture too. Like, let's do something to make me happy as well. And I mean, I feel like the best stops and the best partners understand, and they get off on satisfying their partner. And I think that's the best cycle, because then I'll get off on satisfying you. And that's how we end that topic.
Okay, so we're at the end here of our first episode. This is our first episode.
This was our first episode. That was fun. I have a topic for Porsha before we go. So Porsha, I was watching Instagram, and my favorite YouTuber, shout out to Lovely T, that's my girl. She brought up this discussion of fluid out culture. Are you familiar with fluid out culture?
No.
Okay, so apparently it's this culture where one of the city girls, I think it's Miami, I don't follow them like that. I stay young through T, through Lovely T. She was saying that Young Miami started this thing where you meet a guy online, you know, introduce yourself, and you guys are chatting back and forth, and he basically flies you out to a different state, maybe in some states into a different country, and you know he like tricks off on you, takes you out to dinner, gets you expensive bags, takes you on a shopping spree, and then he just flies you home. And that's fluid out culture.
Okay.
So honestly, I'm like, really, what guys will just fly you out and just like, oh, I bought you clothes over the shop and just fly you back home? I wish that existed. Yeah. Okay, but if someone flies you out, but flew out, they're gonna expect something in return. Come on, no one's stupid.
Of course.
Well, you think that'd be the obvious one, but she showed us all these videos of girls like being mad and they're like, I'm not doing anything, and the guy was like, what? I'm driving you back to the airport. And he was like, this one guy was like, and he's like, I'm driving you back to the airport now. And she's like, fine, I'm getting out the car. Just make sure you give me my confirmation number for Spirit Airlines. He's like, confirmation number? I canceled the flight. She was so bad.
Well, I could see where the guys were expecting sex, of course.
Of course. And these girls apparently didn't get the memo. It backfired.
Yeah, I mean, some of these girls think that they should be pampered and...
Listen, if you want to flew me out, yeah, I say go for it. Go all the way. If he wants to spend that much money on you, listen, this could work in your favor, okay? Go ahead and get flued out to Las Vegas or whatnot. Have a good time. Have a little adult time fun. And get flued back home. So, if any gentlemen are watching, Porsha's looking to get flued out. Now, it could be...
Hey, Drake.
How much fluid out he gonna do? I was reading something that he's in jail in like some Swedish prison right now. Like a parking ticket or something, like a Swedish wow. I don't know. But anywho, that's my fun topic for Miss Porsha today. Hopefully she gets flued out. Maybe it's to the Kansas grocery store, or maybe maybe it's to your local AMC theater, but that's all we have for today.
Check out our episode next week for topics like hormones and other issues.
Oh yes, definitely, guys. If you've been watching this far, do not be afraid to smash that like button, show us some love, comment down below, and if you want,
and subscribe.
I don't know why I didn't think about that, and of course subscribe. All right. Well, in that case, good night.
Good night. Bye.
Like, bitch, I gotta eat that.
Yeah.
Look like you got your fingers done. This makes for good bloopers. You're welcome. Okay, now, bitch, get out. That's good for a blooper.